invite to the stage with me Justin and Heidi Fox. And they are planting a church in Humboldt County. I don't know if you know that area, but it's McKinleyville, Eureka. It's fog, okay? Arcata, and there is a state college up there, a university that is very influential around the world in environmental things. And this also just so happens to be, if you know my wife and I, you're saying, wait a second, who is this person? My wife is a twin, and this is her twin sister on the stage with me. I just thought I'd get that out of the way because it could get a little confusing sometimes. But we just wanted to introduce Justin and Heidi to you. And so, you know, the real question, I think of a couple of questions, but one would be, first of all, why would you plant a church in a pandemic? And then why Humboldt County? Why does that matter?
Yeah, man, thanks so much for just the privilege to be here and to share with you guys. I mean, as most church planners will say, there's this vision that grips your heart that God plants in you. For us, for me, I grew up in this town. And so over the years, seeing my friends, going to high school friends that I've grown up with, seeing so many far from God and so many disinterested in church. It has the highest artist per capita of any other county in California. So myself as an artist, a songwriter, my background in that area, trusting that God in a unique way wants to use me to help reach the artists, the kind of the creative types out in the redwood forest of Northern California. And the kingdom of God is so big, and there's hundreds of people that have yet to hear and yet to step across that, you know, that threshold, that doorway to find a safe place to experience what it means to follow Jesus, to understand what the love of Jesus could really do in their life. And so, yeah, that's compelling us and kind of launching us forward.
We sat around, I don't know if it was maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, we sat around the fireplace in your back porch, and you said, there's something I can't get out of my spirit. Like the last thing God has called me to do in ministry, maybe the last run here. And you don't know, Justin traveled as a songwriter and a singer for 25 years, minor bit of like local Christian celebrity in the California realm. Everybody knows Justin, but he said, I got this thing to go back home where I grew up and plant a church. But that was before the pandemic hit. Did you have any questions like, maybe this isn't a good idea, bad burrito, something along the way? Clearly, God does not call people to plant churches in the middle of a pandemic when churches can't even meet.
Yeah. And I mean, I think about opportunity, and I hear that challenge, and so many people say, this is the best time to plant a church. You know, this is the time we need the kingdom of God. We need people out there. I think Heidi and I both had that decision to make right around when we were just discovering that, January, February, and the pandemic was just around the corner. And we had a chance to step into kind of an assessment process with our church planting organization that supports us and helps us with our organizational stuff. And it was a kind of a decision time right then. Do we step out now? Do we wait? And it felt like God was just kind of opening the doors to walk out and to go for it. How about you? Any like, where does that hit you?
Yeah, I think that actually the last time I was on this stage was at my brother's memorial, and that was January, right as we were me and Tanya were up here, you know, giving witness to my brother's incredible life. And I think that was really the catalyst for, you know, the thing that was pushing us out. Like, Carl would be so proud of us, and we can't stop. We need to carry his vision of reaching people far from God no matter what circumstances. And, you know, we were talking about mourning this morning, and, you know, we're still in mourning, but we have hope. We have hope in Jesus, and that is burning in our hearts to reach people far from God in Humboldt County.
Just one last thing. We were talking, there's not been a successful church plant in that area in over a decade. Meanwhile, the area has grown in population, and the university there is planning to double its enrollment in the next 3 years. Incredible things are happening, but people have failed when they tried to plant churches. And we just want you to know, first of all, that we're with you. that I know you guys have built an incredible support team from all over the country and maybe even around the world. But if you just had one word of encouragement for Real Life Church about what it is that is unique and what God has called you uniquely to that area that's growing and exploding in influence there, what would it be?
Yeah. You know, like Jeff said, there is a lot of growth there, and there's some good churches there, but there's this gap between folks who would never consider church or the traditional way of church and how that looks, and this growing community of folks that are far from God, who are seeking. That place is a spiritually charged place there in the Redwoods. People are looking for meaning and purpose and something beyond their own life and their regular day-to-day living. And so to provide this fresh perspective on the invitation that Jesus offers everybody is the thing that's really gripping our hearts. And I think specifically in COVID, the challenge has been a lot of churches have just kind of turned inward. They just kind of survival mode, let's just hunker down and get through this. And so for us to create a community that actually reaches out, that actually steps out in those uncomfortable, risky places for the sake of people that need to know God, that's where we want to be. And we feel like you said, it's been over 10 years that a group has really strategically, thoughtfully built a team around that mission and stepped out in those ways. And so, yeah, we think the time is due. It's now. Yeah.
Man, how many of you guys believe the time is due for people to make an appointment with eternity?